जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीर बनचारी। यमुना तीर बनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Haribol, 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 Haribol. जय ओं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर हत श्री श्री जीवान ग्रीस शिलाभ चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वयं प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन बीबीडी फाउंडर आचार्य डिवान ग्रीस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर हत श्री श्री जीवान ग्रीस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजो ही वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। पतित पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। मोस्ट मर्सीफुल लॉर्ड शिव श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, Text 10. आसीत् पुरञ्जनो नाम राजा राजन् बृहस्रवा। तस्या विज्ञाता नामासीत् सखा विज्ञतचेष्टितः। आसीत् पुरञ्जनो नाम राजा राजन् बृहस्रवा। तस्या विज्ञता नामासीत् सखा विज्ञातचेतसात्। आसीत् पुरञ्जनो नाम राजा राजन् बृहस्रवा। तस्या विज्ञातनामासीत् सखा विज्ञातचेष्टितः। विज्ञातचेष्टितः। आसीत् पुरञ्जनो नाम राजा राजन् बृहस्रवा। तस्या विज्ञातनामासीत् सखा विज्ञातचेतसः। आसीत् पुरञ्जनो नाम राजन् बृहस्रवा। माताजी। आसीत् पुरञ्जनो राजा राजन् बृहस्रवा। तस्या विज्ञातनामासीत् सखा विज्ञातचेष्टितः। Translation. My dear king, once in the past lived a king named Puranjana who was celebrated for his great activities. He had a friend named Abhignata, the unknown one. No one could understand the activities of Abhignata. Purport. Every living entity is Puranjana. The word of Puram means within this body, within this form, and Jana means living entity. Thus, everyone is Puranjana. Every living entity is supposed to be the king of his body because the living entity is given full freedom to use his body as he likes. He usually engages his body for sense gratification because one who is in the bodily conception of life feels that ultimate goal of life is to serve the senses. This is the process of karma kanda. One who has no inner knowledge, who does not know that he is actually the spirit soul living within the body, who is simply enamored by the dictation of senses, is called a materialist. A materialistic person interested in sense gratification can be called Puranjana because such a materialistic person utilizes his senses according to his whims. He may also be called a king. An irresponsible king takes the royal position to be his personal property and misuses his treasury for sense gratification. The word Brahsrava is also significant. The word Srava means fame. The living entity is famous from ancient time. For as stated in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter 20th verse, Na jayate mriyate va. The living entity is never born and never dies because he is eternal, his activities are eternal, although they are performed in different types of bodies. Na hanyate hanyamane sarire. He does not die even after annihilation of the body. Thus, the living entity transmigrates from one body to another and performs various activities. In each body, the living entity performs so many acts. Sometimes he becomes a great hero, just like Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa, or in the modern age, Napoleon or Hitler. The activities of such men are certainly very great, but as soon as their bodies are finished, everything else is finished. Then they remain in name only. Therefore, a living entity may be called Brahsrava. He may have a great reputation of various types of activities. Nonetheless, he has a friend whom he does not know. Materialistic persons do not understand that God is great. God is present as a super soul who is situated within the heart of every living entity. Although Paramatma sits beside Jivatma as a friend, the Jivatma or living entity does not know it. Consequently, he is described as Abhignata Sakha, meaning one who has an unknown friend. The word Abhignata Chestitaha also significant because living entity works hard under the direction of the Paramatma and is carried away by the laws of nature. Nonetheless, he thinks himself independent of God and independent of the stringent laws of material nature. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter 24th verse, Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledoyo sosya evacha nitya sarvagata sthanur achaloyam sanatanaha. The individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, all-pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. The living entity is Sanatana, eternal, because he cannot be killed by any weapon or burnt into ashes by fire, soaked or moistened by water, nor dried up by air. He is considered to be immune to metal reactions. Although he is changing bodies, he is not affected by metal conditions. He is placed under metal conditions and acts according to the direction of his friend, the super soul. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 15th verse. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matah smriti jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Thus, the Lord as Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart, and He gives directions to the living entity to act in whatever way the living entity desires. In this life and in his previous lives, the living entity does not know the Lord is giving him a chance to fulfill all kind of desires. No one can fulfill any desire without the sanction of the Lord. All the facilities given by the Lord are unknown to the conditioned soul. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakyur Tumjin Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurah Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Sruto Pango Mahamandamatergati Mat Sarvasya Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vrindaranya Kalpadrumado Sri Madratnagara Singhasanasto Sri Sri Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prishthalibhi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambi Bansi Padatadasthita Karshan Venusuner Gopi Gopinatha Sri Astvana Panchatattvatvakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavatara Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Saktikam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mugankaridva Chanakpangu Langhayate Giri Yat Kripa Tamahang Bande Sri Guru Janatarani Paramananda Madhava Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Hare Krishna. First of all, I would like to seek humble blessings from His Grace Anandmaya Prabhu. With His blessings, I would like to attempt to discussion Bhagavatam for all of us and also for my own purification. I seek blessing from each one of you Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis over here. Please bless me that together we can discuss and glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. This wonderful verse of 4th canto, 25th chapter and 10th verse is speaking about the beginning of the story of Puranjana. Just little prefers to this, we see that after the sons of King Prachina Barisa went to perform austerity as per the instruction of their father, we heard the wonderful chapter of Rudra Gita. They eventually meet Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva glorified Lord Vishnu, and we are understood that they are in the course of purifying and perfecting their life. Now here the scene in the kingdom of King Prachinna Barisa, the great sage Narada has appeared, and Narada spoke to Prachinna Barisa. He spoke the truth that King Prachinna Barisa is performing so many karma kandya yajna, and the animals are being killed and slaughtered. They were waiting to take revenge, in the sense the law of karma is waiting for him. He told this truth to king. And now, in the previous verse, he said that, I will tell you a story. We see the great preacher Narad Muni over here. The great preacher Narad Muni is an expert preacher. He could preach everybody for that matter. We see some places in Bhagavatam, starting from the embryo in the womb of mother, he started preaching. Who is that? Prahlad Maharaj. And the next level of the living entity is an infant or a young child to whom Narad Muni preached. Who is that? Dhruva Maharaj. And then next is youth preacher. He's expert youth preacher. He could preach thousands of sons of Daksha Prajapati. Not once, once and twice, and expertly. And each of the preached person, it become Mahabharata devotees. It's not that he preached and they gone away. No. That is the greatness of preaching of Narada Muni. He's an expert preacher. And then it's not that sometimes we see that the preachers, there are people, those who preach in Sunday schools for children, they may not able to preach well to the youths. And those youth preachers, they may not able to preach very well to the grown-up men. Or those who are preaching to the grown-up men, they may not preach very much towards the Banprasthas. I mean, it's not in general we do find that kind of preacher. But Narada Muni is such an expert preacher. He could preach the embryo, he could preach the young child, he could preach the youths, he could preach the grown-up man. Grown-up man in the sense, not only grown-up man, but even, you see in grown-up man, who is that? He was the great king Chitraketu. Grown-up man. He was looking for a child and approached Narada Muni. Narada Muni said, it's not possible, it's not in your destiny. He said that, no, I need it. Somehow you give me. And his way of preaching is extremely wonderful way that everybody can relate and everybody say, yes sir, I'll do it. In Narada Muni's preaching, we hardly heard somebody's heard Narada Muni say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it. No. Narada Muni is so expert, he preached according to the person, sthana kala patra. That's why he's expert. And then we see, in this case, King Prachinna Barisa is about to leave his kingdom and go for Banprastha. It's like pre-Banprastha stage. He is preaching to Prachinna Barisa. And not only that, he is preaching King Prachinna Barisa and all other these things what we explained. He also preached the great sage Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva was bewildered. And with Narada Muni's preaching, he was so ecstatic. He said that I could see what is what now. I am determined to write the Amala Puranas and Bhagavatam. Narada Muni's preaching is so very, what do you call, special preaching that Vyasadeva is ecstatic to write the glories of Krishna from the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam till the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Anywhere and everywhere you go, there is glories of Krishna. It could be his beauty, it could be his name, it could be his fame, it could be his opulences, it could be the glories of his devotees. But somehow or other he is focusing on Krishna and Krishna's paraphernalia, which are non-different from Krishna. That was the preaching of Narada Muni. And one may say, well, he is preaching to the people, those are gentlemen or well-versed people. No, he could able to preach the highway rover, the highway dacoits, Ratnakar. He purified him. And we could have now, by his grace, the great epic Ramayana with us. And he also could preach the cruel hunter, Mrigari. So any kind and every kind person, people are there. Narada Muni is the best suitable preacher for that. And we see in preaching, especially when we speak the philosophy, in general, people in this world, we are so much distracted from focusing our mind into a thing that we hardly get into it. But Srimad Bhagavatam tells us, and the great preachers, they tell a story. As soon as the story begins, everybody pays their attention slowly, gradually. And then they were so attentive. Let's see what's next. What's next? So curious, so attentive. So to draw the attention of the audience is the best way to tell a story. The best way to tell a story. And the preachers are the expert personalities. They know what kind of story to be told to whom, so that he can relate with. He not only put his attention, but also in due course of time, he will relate. He will say, hey, what I'm hearing looks like same thing I'm doing. Is it not my story? This is what the Srimad Bhagavatam tells. This is how Srimad Bhagavatam draws the attention of people in general to the lotus feet of Krishna. To understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes the philosophy may be so deep that until unless one puts rapt attention, it is not possible to understand. But the preachers and the Srimad Bhagavatam, Avala Purana, it tricks the people in general to draw their attention and hear attentively and grasp it. And guess what happens? If somebody with pure attention grasps the story of Bhagavatam, Rudyantosta Bhadrani Vidunoti Surutsatam. All the unwanted things in the heart will be cleansed at proportionate with one's sincerity. As much as you are sincere, so much will be cleansed. If you are 10% sincere, 10% cleansed. 100% sincere, 100% cleansed. So here we see this king Prachanna Parishad is a sincere personality. He might not be a devotee. He is not practicing devotional service, but he is sincere. Why is sincere? How can we say he is sincere? Because he respected Narada Muni. He decided to hear from Narada Muni. And he was following the Vedic literatures. He was not whimsical. These are the qualities make ones to become sincere. A person after birth may not be a devotee, practicing devotee, but as soon as he started to show his sincerity, Krishna arranges that the devotional service will come to him and he will grab it as if he was waiting for it since long time. Chaitanya Charitamrita Kaviraj Goswami says that Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Kripa Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. After wandering in millions and trillions of lifetime in different species of life, few fortunate souls get to have the chance of Guru or the saintly personalities. And by their mercy, and how that comes? Krishna Kripa. The first quota of things come to a sincerity is Krishna's Kripa. By Krishna's mercy, he will encounter or meet with a sadhu. And then the next level of mercy comes from sadhu, Guru Kripa. And with that mercy, he becomes very sincere. He starts his bhajana kriya. He continued his sadhu sangha and he starts bhajana kriya. And then he attains Krishna. So first, Krishna Kripa will make ones to meet a saint or saintly devotee. And then devotee's mercy will make him to attain Krishna. That's the process. And we see that this great king Prachanna Parishad had got the chance of meeting sadhu. And what is happening? The sadhu Narada Muni is telling to him a story. Srila Prabhupada writes in the first paragraph of the purport, the word Puranjana, he describes. By the way, this story is an allegorical story. It's not a real story. It's not a real history. It is allegorical story. So, Srila Prabhupada tells that Puranjana refers to any living entity. Any living entity can be called as Puranjana. Pura means the body, and Puranjana means the person who lives in the body. So everybody is living in the body. That's why called embodied soul. Dehi, who has the Deha is called Dehi. So they are all called Puranjana. But Srila Prabhupada, little later in the same purport, same paragraph, he explains more detail who is really called Puranjana. The materialistic personality. The materialistic personality is the person whose goal is to gratify the senses. The Pura, or the body where it is living, from that, what are the senses are available, he wanted to gratify them. And that could be his goal. That could be cherished goal. And that person is called materialistic personality. And he is the right fit for the word Puranjana. Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport. And then, Srila Prabhupada takes we see that Srila Prabhupada expertise this verse, it tells that there was a king named Puranjana and who has an unknown friend. These are only 2 lines. Somebody says these 2 lines, okay, it looks very simple. Srila Prabhupada gives literally around 2 pages purport. And each of this paragraph is brilliantly, eloquently perfect to make us to understand the philosophy, basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada says that why the living entity is called as Brahsrava. Srava means fame. Brahsrava means great fame. In one sense, somebody says that in first paragraph you are writing that he is a materialistic person, he is fit for nothing, he is called Puranjava. But how can again he called Brahsrava? He says that the materialistic person thinks that he is doing great activities. And the other materialistic personalities, those who are around him, consider him as a great hero. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of such great heroes like Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, and the modern age, Napoleon, and that kind of personality. Somebody may say that, does Vedic literature tell them hero? No, we should study deeply. Srila Prabhupada writes saying that these people are great because they are doing great materialistic activities. In materialistic activities, they are great, yes, true. Who can think of controlling the demigods in the material world? That could be only Hiranyakashipu or Ravana-like people. It is mentioned that by raising their eyebrows, the demigods were shivering in fear. That kind of controllership they had. So are they not great? Yeah, they are great at their level. But Srila Prabhupada says that even the living entity is very famous because he is eternal. Living entity is eternal. Srila Prabhupada says, na jate mriyate kadapi na bhuya. Living entity is eternal. He is eternally there. Maybe in different form. Sometime in different species, this species, sometime other species, but eternally living entity exists. So this gives a great understanding. The living entity doesn't have to lament or so much been elated with so-called happiness because he continued to live. If not in this body, in another body. He doesn't have to delight so much because there is another body is waiting. He may not get this kind of happiness. And he may not be too much distressed because another body is also waiting. He may get happiness. Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it is just like the changing of seasons. Shitashna sukha dukkhada. And what to do? Titikhyasa Arjuna. Become tolerant. That's the only solution. And then also it is said that the Puranjana has an unknown friend. And it refers to the Paramatma, the super soul. In the body, in the Pura, there is Jana who is living, and also there is Paramatma, the super soul, who is also there. But The thing over here, the Puranjana, the living entity who is living in the body, does not know that his friend also living with him in general, until unless he gets the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he gets the mercy of devotees, gets chance to read Srila Prabhupada book. He doesn't know what is soul, what is super soul. We know, like, sometimes we can see the billboard, big billboards like Atma Sakshatkar, self-realizations, big talks are there. Sometimes people in general, they get bewildered. What kind of these things? It's not for me. I can't really understand Atma Sakshatkar, such big words. But if you read Srila Prabhupada's book, Prabhupada writes in very simple line. What is Atma Sakshatkar? He says that to know that we are not the body, we are the soul, and also to know that there is God and we are the part and parcel of God, and we are, our conscious position is, or our relationship is to serve Him. Only these three things. Knowing that I am a living entity or the soul who is part and parcel of the super soul, and my relationship with the God or super soul is to servant. Only these three things make one to become self-realized. This is called self-realization. Just see how much easy Srila Prabhupada made for all of us. The epitome of the Vedic literature is to become self-realized. Is it not? The Krishnando of understanding one who he is, and understanding who God is and what is the relation with God. That is the essence of the scripture. And Srila Prabhupada tells in very simple English language. You are not the body, you are the soul, and the Lord is there, and you are His part and parcel, and you are related to Him as a servant. And just knowing that is called self-realization. Just a simple way of Srila Prabhupada gives understanding. And then we see that this kind of preachers like Srila Prabhupada and Narada Muni, they give the understanding and the philosophy to the people in general that they can easily relate with, and they purify. Kipram Bhavadeham Mahatma, because they are sincere. We see in Vyasadeva's case, Narada Muni came and told him a story. What story? His own story. How he was a son of maid servant, and how he got perfected by simply serving the pure devotees. And we see same teaching Prahlad Maharaj could inherit, and he propagated the same teaching to his father. Mahi yasa padradobhisekam. Until unless one smears one's body with the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotee, one cannot be get out of the materialistic like. And my dear father, you cannot do so because you are uncontrolled senses. Matinna Krishna parataspatova mitha vipadyeta graha bratanam adanta gobhi visatam tamishram punah punascharvita sarvananam. Your senses are uncontrolled. Neither on your own nor by the help of somebody you can fix your mind in Krishna, because you chosen to be like this. And in this purport we see that Srila Prabhupada tells, this friend of Puranjana or the living entity is very kind. He is very kind to him. Why is very kind? Because he is a person under whose sanction the jana, the living personality in the pura, in the body, can able to do anything. Whatever things he does, only with his sanction. Unless Paramatma gives sanction to the living entity cannot do anything. It is told that without his sanction, even a blade of grass cannot move. What to think of anything else? The very thing we are doing over here, discussing some Bhagavatam, sitting over here, and trying our best to put our attention, it is only by his sanction. It is by the sanction of the Supreme Personality God, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, we are over here. Otherwise, who are we? What access, what qualification we have to access this wonderful courtyard where Srila Prabhupada was personally present? And he is present now even. And he made Shri Radha, Madan, Mohan, Gaur, Nitai, Jagannath, Vasudha to present over here. He personally invited them. So, this great friend of the living entity, the Paramatma, is very kind to him. Not only his sons, but also he comes with his friend for any time as long as he comes to this material world. This material world is not a very good place for gentlemen, Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur says. If a pure devotee knows this material world is not a good place, then does Krishna not know? He knows. But still he comes. Still he comes for what? To reclaim his friend. He comes in multiple, his mercy comes to his friend in many, many different ways. First thing, he is there in the heart. That is first thing. But in the heart, one very good thing, he does not stop him to do anything. He says that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna what? Jat ichchasi tatho kuru. Whatever you like, you do it. I told you what is good, what is bad. By doing what you'll get. I told everything for you. Now your choice. Somebody may say, what kind of father he is? If his father is well-wisher, is somebody allow his friend to do something wrong? Yes. Allows sometimes. And what extent? Till a limit. That is why living entity has got a limited freedom, not unlimited freedom. So Krishna, being Paramatma, gave limited freedom to all living entities. We can see that, simple example, a father sometimes gives some money to his son, gives his pocket money. He also says that use it in good way. You may take some sweets, or you may get some books or pen and pencil, something like that. He says that. He gives the money and tells how to utilize it. But despite of that, if the son goes to a shop and purchase cigarette and smoke it, somebody say, well, that happened because his father gave money. Is that really true? No. Father gave money on his birthday out of his love and told him what to do also. Son doesn't do, that is his jurisdiction. And father gave him some choice. If he says that, if somebody says, oh, okay, he would have given sweet only, why did he give money? Out of his love, he gave some freedom to him. If there's no freedom, what is there is love then? There is two things. One is love and one is law. And love has higher reach out than law. Sometimes love transgress the law also. But for us, for all of us, for all sadhaka, for all time to come, we must follow both. Balanced way of love and law. So, coming back to this point, the Supreme Personality Godhead comes with every living entity as Paramatma for every lifetime. And not only that, he gives instruction through Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the basic literatures. Somebody say, how can you say like that? It's not me, it is he only says. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kabira Goswami says that, Maya Mugdha Jivera Nahi, Krishna Smriti Jnana, Jivera Krupaya Vyasa Koila Veda Purana. The living entities are enamored by Maya, Maya Mugdha Jiva. They forgot Krishna. That is why, out of compassion, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, who comes as a literary incarnation as Vyasadeva, out of compassion, made these Puranas, Veda Puranas. And then, not only that, he sends his personal associates, go and help them, like Narada Muni. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaura Maharaj, all paramparas, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, all these great acharyas, they are the confidential associate of Supreme Personality Godhead in Goloka Vrindavan. It is described that Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, Duhem Braja Jana. The spiritual masters, the instructing spiritual master and initiating spiritual master, they are the internal associates of the Supreme Personality God from the Golok Vrindavan descends for all of us. We are so fortunate that they come for us to reclaim us. And not only that, He personally descends. Krishna descends. Now Janmashtami is coming in. We are going to celebrate before that Balaram Jayanti. The supreme controller of all controllers and the supreme servitor God, Balaram. Sebya Bhagavan, Sevaka Bhagavan. Both are Krishna and Balaram, they are Bhagavan. But one is Sebya Bhagavan, who is worshipped God, Krishna, and or worshipable God, Krishna. Another one is who is worshipping God. The person who is worshipping, the supreme big worshipper of Krishna, that is Balaram. We are going to celebrate soon. So these are the personalities, the supreme personality Godhead. He appeared in time to time for many, many reasons. Bhagavad Gita says there are reasons. Bhagavatam says there are reasons. Chaitanya Charitamrita gives the confidential reasons. But among all, one of the reasons is some or other, by seeing the activities of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, the leelas of the Lord, if at one point of time the living entity is slightly being attracted, bas, ho gaya. Any time, a little bit you cut with Krishna's pastimes, you are done. Rupa Goswami says there is only one qualification for somebody to become Krishna conscious is attachment towards Krishna. And that could be possible by hearing Krishna Katha. And it is said that it is not possible, it is not a contemplation or somebody's mental speculation. No, it is there in Bhagavatam itself. If a devotee is sincerely putting one's effort to hear in Bhagavatam the pastimes of the Lord in the association of devotees, he will get a series of things. What? Shraddha, Rati and Bhakti. Rati means what? Attachment, attraction. Satam prasanga namavirya sambito bhavanti hrutkarna rasayana katha tad joshanadat swavarga vartmani shraddha rati bhakti anukramishyati. Gradually it will grow. First we will have deeper and deeper faith, and more faith we'll have, the more and more we want to hear. The more and more we want to hear, then our rati, our attraction towards Krishna will increase. Our attraction to hear Krishna Katha will increase. The attraction to have Sangha of devotees will increase. And then Bhakti, the pure devotion, that Suddha Bhakti, that will come eventually. And this has been told by the Supreme Lord himself in the form of Kapila Deva to his mother Devhuti. So Supreme Lord comes for this purpose. Chaitanya Charitamrita Kaviraj Goswami says, Krishna Rajata Kalila, Tara Madhyam Naralila. Among all the pastimes of Lord, when Krishna comes in the human form, or his original form, that is very special. He attracts everybody. He attracts the moving and non-moving living entity. It is described by seeing Krishna. If you read Krishna book, the stones, they melt. The waters in the river Jamuna become stagnant. Complete opposite, huh? And the trees, they bow down, as if they bow down with the fruits and flowers as an offering to Krishna and Balaram. You read in the one chapter Krishna, I think it's Wonderful Krishna. The chapter is called Wonderful Krishna. You read the first paragraph. So Prabhupada writes, Krishna tells to Balaram, my dear brother, just see, these trees are bowing down at your lotus feet as if the great devotees of the Lord. And the humming bees, they are coming and sounding like a Vedic hymns. And so Krishna attracts everybody. And that is why the same Ajnata, the person who is, the friend who is unknown friend of all living entity, he comes to give chance for everybody to come with me. And Srila Prabhupada writes towards the end of the purport, end of this chapter, he says that Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishta matah pratigyanam apohanam cha. I am sitting in everybody's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Thus, the Lord is Paramatma, situated in everyone's hearts. He gives direction to the all living entity in whatever way the living entity desires. So, Krishna is ready to fulfill the desire of living entity as Paramatma. That means functions. Now, somebody says that, well, कर भला हो भला, मैं अच्छा किया, मुझे अच्छा मिल गया, इसमें भगवान कौन है? I did good, I got good. Why should I think of God? No. Even though you do good, you may not get good unless the sanction is sanctioning to you. Right? Srila Prabhupada writes in Sri Upanishad. Wonderful example. Everybody can simply understand it. He says that simply by completing one's LLB course or law course or getting passed in an exam, one cannot become a High Court judge. One must need an appointment letter from Supreme Court judge that you are given offer letter to being appointed as a High Court judge. In Hindi he says that केवल योग्यता ही फल प्राप्ति करने के लिए पर्याप्त नहीं है, बल्कि अधिकारियों की क्या कहते हैं, like one must get sanction, अनुमोदन चाहिए. Until just mere qualification is not enough to receive the result, but also one must need the sanction of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So we cannot. So these things is not mechanical. Everything in this world or beyond this world is under the supervision of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So then, what is the theme we should get from today's discussion? The theme is that if everything is controlled by somebody, without his control we cannot get anything. What is the best course of action to do? Deal with him, get along with him, try to understand what is his desire, and align your desire with his desire or his plan. Then everything is successful. Nothing is unsanctioned for you. As long as I know my sanctioning authority is going to sanction only this 1, 2, 3, I can only look for 1, 2, 3. Why should I look for 4, 5? He knows better than me what is good for me. Because he has planned 1, 2, 3 for me, that 1, 2, 3 only good for me. So I should channelize my desire to fix on that 1, 2, and 3. And how to know what is his plan? Because how to know? From scriptures. And another way to know him, who constantly resides with him? Who are the Supreme Person, the pure devotees. The pure devotees are constant companion of the Supreme Personality Godhead. Tomara hrudaye sada Govinda visrama Govinda kahe namora Vaishnava parana. The pure devotees, in their heart, the Govinda resides eternally. And the same Govinda says that these pure devotees are my heart and soul. That means they know me very well. If they know him very well, they are the people, those who can relay us what is his plan for all of us. And if we can make our plan to align with his plan, that is the perfection of our life. We see towards the end of this canto or these few chapters later, after being preached by Narad Muni, the great king Prachanna Barisa, at one point of time, he could get to know, oh, you are talking something which looks like I am only doing those things. You know what happened? He could not resist to continue anymore. He said that enough is enough. Let me go away now. I will leave this kingdom my then the ministers, they were saying that, oh, your sons were gone to forest to perform austerity, and after some time they'll come, you have to make them king and then go. He said, no, I cannot wait for them. Enough is enough. Let me go to perfect my life. And now, till they come, you take care of the kingdom. You are the minister. Once they come, you give the hand over them. He becomes so ecstatic to give up everything and gone to forest, and eventually he gone back to Godhead. Bhagavatam describes. This is the result of sincere hearer and expert preacher. He was very sincere. Because he sincerely heard, immediately transformed his heart. And as soon as the story ends, he ends his material life. He said, enough is enough, I'll go. So, today we discussed in brief, summary is, we discussed the expert preacher Narada Muni. He is expert in preaching all category of people, starting from the embryo of living entity, from the highway robbers to the decent, purified culture, great saint Vyasdev. He preached all kind of people. And everybody being perfected. Everybody. Starting from the highway robber to Vyasdeva. All the level of people got perfection. And we also discussed that the great sincerity of Prachinna Barisa made Narada Muni to feel to preach him. It's not that preacher goes and preaches anybody, everybody. He also sees who is little more interested. Is it not? All our preachers, you go and see in IOS, the boy who is coming little more frequently, catch hold of him and tell him something. Is it not? Yes, that's required. So the preacher also see who is little more inclined, who is little sincere, fan the flame. Flame the little spark, it will flame out. So that's what Narada Muni spoke to me, a little story. And then we also discussed, Prabhupada tells the purport, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to understand in a very simple way. Every living entity is Puranjana, everybody is trying to enjoy oneself within the body and think that I am the body, and enjoying various parts of body, various senses of body would be giving me true happiness. And everybody in that mood in general. And there are great people in that so-called illusion. There are like great heroes. Prabhupada says that Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Napoleon, and all of them. But Srila Prabhupada says that they don't know that their well-wishing friend, Bhuktaram Jagindapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surudam Sarvabhutanam, they don't know that Surudam. Sarvabhutanam, all the living entity, he is just only well-wishing friend, Surudam. And he is such a Suruda, he is such a well-wishing friend. Gyantva mam santanuchyati, by knowing him one will attain peace. And that is the well-wishing friend of Paramatma. And we also discussed how that great friend of ours, really true friend, from time immemorial, for every life with us, he comes within and resides with our heart. He gives us limited freedom, and also he gives us the scriptures, he gives the instruction, he sends his pure devotees, he personally comes. Only reason he wants to reclaim us from this miserable condition of life to go there. And then, with all these things, Srila Prabhupada concludes that without sanction of the supreme control, the supreme personality Godhead, one cannot do anything. And after knowing that, a devotee like Bhaktivinoda Thakur teaches us, he says that Bhuliya tomare sansare asinu pae nana vidha vyatha pe nana vidha vyatha. My dear Lord, after forgetting you, I came to this material world. I am suffering a lot. And now I am coming to the lotus feet to tell my tale of miseries. And my dear Lord, please forgive me and guide me and help me to listen to the pure devotees. As long as we have desire to hear to the devotees and to purify our consciousness, and we have that sincerity, eventually it is assured that we will become purified. Srila Prabhupada says that simply try to become Krishna consciousness. Finish your business in this very life itself. Don't try to create another body. And Srila Prabhupada says that if you are sincere, if you are chanting 16 rounds minimum every single day of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you are following four-legged principle strictly, honoring prasadam and associating Vaishnavas, avoiding offenses towards the holy name and chanting holy name, you will definitely go back to Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada's words will remain true for all of us, provided that we develop more and more faith and guard against offenses towards the devotees. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Prabhu would like to have a correction for me, please correct me. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnava vrinda ki jai. Grantharash Bhagavat Mahapuran ki jai. Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bo.